afternoon and welcome. Glad you could make it. We had a little glitch, so we were a little late today, but the show will go on talking about Glowtime Part 2. Today we're going to talk about the iPhones. So this is Go for Lunch for September 17th, 2024, brought to you by GoFor Technology. I am Roger Harmon, your host, and we are here to make your technology work for you. Well, hi, Stanley. It's National Professional House Cleaners Day. So until we get Rosie the Robot in an affordable version, we are using professional house cleaners to keep our houses neat and tidy. So this is their day. And thank you for all those people that do that work. So there are 4 models of the new iPhone: the iPhone 16, the iPhone 16 Plus, the iPhone 16 Pro, and the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So we'll look at the iPhone 16, which has a 6.1-inch screen, and the iPhone 16 Plus, which has a 6.7-inch screen. So if you like a little larger screen, make it easier to read, then this might be the one for you. And this year, the differences between the iPhone 16 and the 16 Pro are a lot fewer than in the past. So you get a lot of features in the iPhone 16 and 16 Plus. So what we're always interested in, of course, is the cameras. So on the iPhone 16 and Plus, you get a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. It has an f2.2 aperture, so it's pretty good in low light situations, and it has autofocus. And then the main camera is a 48 megapixel, and then to get the 2 times telephoto, they crop it to 12 megapixels, and that gives them the telephoto. And this has a f1.6 aperture, so again, pretty good in low light situations. So Apple has something they call the Fusion camera, and it's kind of been around in several forms lately. And from what I can tell, I couldn't find a lot of information, nothing actually from Apple besides a mention of it, but no explanation of how it works. But I think the way it works is it combines the images from the 48 and the 12 megapixel cameras to give you more detail. So that's what the Fusion camera is all about. And of course, that's using Apple's very good computational photography. And in both of these new camera series, they have some adjustments that you can make during your composition of a shot, and after you can change the way your image works because of the workflow of the computational photography. So the action button, which came out last year on the iPhone 15 Pro, is now on the iPhone 16. And it lets you do the same things as you used to do with a little switch that was in this position, and that's mute the phone or put it in silent mode. But you can also have the action button programmed to all sorts of different things, like you see here, like shortcuts, the controls, the magnifier. You can turn on translations, turn on Shazam, start a voice memo, turn on the flashlight. So you can customize this action button to do whatever your heart desires. And of course, we're showing this here in the pink, which is one of the new colors for this year. So the really big news for a lot of people, me included, is the camera control. So this is another button that's on the same side of your phone as the power button, and it will activate the camera. It will take a picture. It will then, you can slide along this button. It's kind of long, and adjust exposure, depth of field, zoom, and it looks like this. So when you touch it, you get a little display here on the screen. Here it's showing the zoom function, but as you slide your finger back and forth, it goes to different functions, and then you can adjust the camera, which I think is a lot easier than putting your finger on the screen, and also allows you to hold the camera steadier because you're got two hands. Now, some people have complained about it's not that easy to do if you're left-handed, so you have to adapt your left-handed technique. So this is what the camera control button looks like, and a little cutaway. So you can see it has a large surface here that you can, that's a touch sensitive surface, but then it also has a mechanical aspect to it. So when you push it down, you can push it down all the way, or you can also push it down part way. It also has a haptic engine to give you some feedback. So that is the camera control. So here are the 5 colors for the iPhone 16: black, white, pink, teal, and ultramarine. Some people are calling this blue. I don't know why. So summarizing the features of the iPhone 16, it has a new ultra-wide that has a good macro capability. The camera lenses have been repositioned so you can take spatial photos and videos, which can be played back on your Apple Vision Pro. And it has a new A18 Apple Silicon on a chip, system on a chip, SoC, which takes advantage of all the features of Apple Intelligence, which is coming real soon now. And we're going to talk about iOS 18 on another presentation, but of course we will have iOS 18. And one of the nice features is messages via satellite. So if you're out in the middle of nowhere with no cell service, you can still send messages via satellite, text messages. So you are not alone. And then of course the camera control, we talked about the dynamic island has been given some more capabilities to keep track of things like timers and sports scores. It has Wi-Fi 7, which is the latest version of Wi-Fi, so you're getting some future proofing there because the Wi-Fi 7 routers are just now coming to market. We talked about the action button. The has a big boost in battery life. They didn't say anything more about it, but when you dig down into the specs on the iPhone, I think it's 23 hours of video playback, and on the iPhone Plus it's 27. So you're going to be able to go longer between charges on your iPhone. We talked about the Fusion camera and the 2x telephoto, the colors. For anybody interested in gaming, they have hardware accelerated ray tracing to give you better quality graphics. It does, of course, have the USB-C connection now. And it has the latest generation ceramic shield, which is the glass-like material on the front of the screen. And there are AAA games available. So Apple said that this ceramic shield is the strongest glass of any smartphone. So the screen sizes here on the Pro and the Pro Max. This Pro is 6.3 and the Pro Max is 6.9. Now, people that have handled these phones at the hands-on exhibit at the Apple event say they don't feel that much bigger because the bezels, the edges here, are much thinner, so it gives you more screen real estate and not that much more of a overall dimensions to the phone. Of course, they are big enough that you're going to have to get a new case, but they're not in your hand. They don't feel that much bigger. So the cameras on the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max, the 48 megapixel ultra wide, which is also the macro, has an f2.2 aperture, and you can see here the flash. This is the LiDAR sensor, and this is one of the microphones. Then there's the 48 megapixel fusion camera with a nice 1.78 aperture. And then we have the real differentiator between the Pro and the non-Pro iPhone 16, and that's the 5x telephoto camera. And it has an f2.8 aperture, so fairly good in low light. And they have improved the macro on all the cameras, so you can see here, kind of hidden in the foliage here, is a frog behind this blade of this plant. So you can get up close and personal with any of the new iPhones and take good sharp macro images. So we talked about microphones. There are 4 studio quality microphones. There's one here, there's one here in the camera array, there's one here down at the bottom, and the 4th one at the bottom left. So along with these improved microphones, they have improved the audio quality, what they call audio mix, and we'll talk about that in a second. There were some people complaining about the heat on the iPhone 15, so they have improved the heat dissipation on the iPhone 16 in 2 ways. Number one, they have this aluminum heatsink that goes around inside the titanium body, and then they have these graphite panels that dissipate the heat. And this is the battery right here. Here's a better picture of the battery. So the longer battery life, I think on the iPhone 16 is 27 hours of video playback, and on the iPhone 16 Pro Max is 33 hours. So again, good battery life. So going over the features, we have that 5x telephoto on both models. It used to be it was only on the Max, so that's nice if you don't want the bigger phone. And then the audio mix is what I was referring to a second ago. It lets you adjust the audio after you shoot a video. This kind of gives you a better view of the camera control with some of the different functions here, your f-stop, and I believe this is your exposure. And then this was a nice a new feature in the photos. You have photographic styles. Now these are a little more subtle than the filters that they still have. But the nice thing about the photographic styles is you can save them as a preset. So if you find a photographic style that you think you might want to use again, you can save it as a preset and just call it up instead of having to set it up each time. So that's a nice feature. Wi-Fi 7, the ceramic shield we talked about, the sizes. You can take the spatial videos for the Vision Pro, faster ray tracing, the 48 pixel ultra wide, 48 megapixel ultra wide, with good macro capabilities. The battery we talked about. The USB-C speed on the Pro models is faster than on the regular iPhone 16, so If you're downloading a lot of images or videos, then this would be an advantage with the USB 3 speed. Then they have the Apple A18 silicon, the A18 Pro. So that, of course, will handle Apple Intelligence. On the video side, they have 4K 120 frames per second video with Dolby Vision, and then there's that action button with the different ways that you can program it. So lots of new features. And then the colors on the titanium are black, space gray, and natural titanium, and this is called desert titanium. It's kind of a golden tan kind of color. As you can see, they're pretty subtle. They're not quite as bright as the regular iPhone. And then here you can see the edge view. This is the power button, and this is the camera control button right here. So, of course, the question is, should you upgrade? And from all the research that I did, all the pundits there on YouTube and over the internet pretty much said if you have an iPhone 13 or older, yes, you should upgrade. So what do these new phones cost? Well, thankfully, the prices did not increase from last year, as some rumors were saying. So they start off with the iPhone 16. The base model is $799. The 16 Plus is $899. The 16 Pro is $999, and the 16 Pro Max is $1199. Of course, if you want more memory, then those prices will be higher. So we talked about the Apple hearing aids last week, and since then they have been approved by the Federal Drug Administration. They said in their press release that it's the first over-the-counter hearing aid software device that they have ever approved, and it will only work on AirPods Pro 2, which of course is an existing product. So that is out there right now, and we are assuming that it will be turned on in an upcoming software update. And of course you have the hearing aid as part of the health app, so you can turn that on and adjust it. In other late breaking news, Apple Watches have been approved by the FDA for sleep apnea detection, and that will include the Series 10 excuse me, the Series 9 and the Ultra 2. So you'll be able to do sleep apnea detection right now if you update to watchOS 11, which was released yesterday. So Apple mentioned twice during their presentation about trade-ins. So you can check with your carrier to see what kind of trade-in offers they have. And usually, in order to be eligible to trade your phone in, they are going to bump you up to their highest offering, their most expensive offering. So look at that and be careful of that. Apple also offers trade-ins. I checked mine today. Excuse me. Get all choked up thinking about buying a new iPhone. I checked my iPhone 13 today on Apple's store, and they were going to give me $400 for it, and I would receive it by mid-October. You can also consider selling it to a third-party company online, and the way to find those companies is to just do an internet search for Sell My iPhone. You'll find some reviews like from Macworld and other reputable sites, so you can kind of compare their opinions of which of these companies are the most trustworthy and reliable. And then check 2 or 3 companies to see the best offer. I've done that before, and that's worked out fine. And then below in the comment section, I have a link to this guy. His name is Steven. And he's done all the work for us in comparing all the different cell phone plans and features. So you can decide if you want to stay with your present carrier, or if you want to switch to a different carrier, get a lower cost per month, and maybe more features. So that is a really good link to look at. And he also has a spreadsheet that you can download if you want to go over it with a fine-tooth comb. Well, if you haven't already, and I see some of you have, put your questions or comments down there in YouTube, and we'll get to those in just a moment. Do me a big favor and share the GoFor Gazette with anybody you know that uses Apple devices. Of course, that comes out in your email box at about 7 o'clock every Monday morning. And again, we are always recommending to wait before you upgrade. The upgrade came out yesterday for all of the operating systems, iOS 18, Mac OS 15 Sequoia. However, there are some upgrades that you should be doing. Thanks for the thumbs up. And that is on your older operating systems. Since you're not going to upgrade, you should to Sequoia. You should upgrade to Mac OS 14.7, Sonoma, and Safari 18.1 or .0. And then there's also some upgrades for older operating systems. So check in your settings, general software update, and you can probably update the last 3 or 4 operating systems. And those are mostly security updates, so you'll want to do those. But you don't need to go to Sequoia or iOS 18 until we see how they are working when they're out in the wild, when those people on the bleeding edge of technology have tested them out for us. Well, what is your favorite case? We always recommend that you get a good case for your phone because they do get dropped. And so also, what screen protector has worked good for you? So if you would email your favorites to gofortech@mac.com, and in the subject just put # or hashtag favorite. And that way I can search out those emails and compile them with the information that I've already started gathering on some of the best iPhone cases out there. It's TMUG tonight. The Tucson Macintosh User Group is meeting tonight. We have an Ask Me Anything session starting at 6. The general meeting starts at 7, featuring our guest speaker, David Ginsburg, who's the host of the podcast In Touch with iOS. And he's going to tell us about exploring Apple services, discovering their value and the benefits of Apple One, which is Apple's bundling of services. So you are going to find that very interesting. We saw that at MacStock and learned a lot. So I think you will too. So the link for that is in the GoFor Gazette. And if for some reason you didn't get the GoFor Gazette, just give me an email and I will send you the link. Again, that starts at 6 tonight on Zoom for the Ask Me Anything, 7 for the general meeting. So let's see what you guys have to say. I've been hearing all sorts of little clicks over here. And we'll get this up here so I can see it. And welcome Bob. And Judy. And Leslie Hand says, can the action button be programmed to do more than just one thing, like double and triple clicks? I have heard that using shortcuts, you can give it more than one function, but I'm not sure about that. And Leslie Ann says, what do the phones weigh? They seem to be getting heavier. They're going to be a little heavier, but not as heavy as they would be because they're made out of titanium now. So titanium is light and strong. So they are a little heavier, but it's in just 1 or 2 grams, not very much. And Bob wants to know if I have ordered my iPhone 16 Pro Max yet. And the answer is it's in my bag, but I have not pulled the trigger because I want to wait for the Apple automation features to come out. So the rumor is that some of them will come out in October and more of them will come out in December and some of them won't come out until 2025. So I'm not rushing into that again. Since I don't want to be on the bleeding edge of iOS 18, I'm going to let that sort out before I order my iPhone 16. What did you order, Chris? The hearing aid functionality is for low to moderate hearing loss. The hearing test I get is twice as long as Apple's. No speech and noise, which is an issue for me. So that's a good point. And that's an issue for me too, is understanding people in a noisy environment. So you can usually get a free hearing test. If you have that kind of a problem hearing people in noisy environments, you may want to get an audiologist to test you. And Chris says, be sure and call the carrier to finalize your order. Verizon came up with 2 additional discounts for me. Well, that's a good tip. So maybe if you're going to order it through your carrier, you probably have better luck ordering it on the phone. My experience has been some of the people in the store may not be up on the latest discounts, but the people on the phone usually are. And Bob has had his Zag case for his iPhone, and he likes it. I have a Zag case for my iPad, and I really like that too. And Chris says he ordered the 16 Pro Max in Desert Titanium, and that's exactly what's in my bag. So we'll see. I'm guessing that might be a popular color. That might take a little longer to get, but what was your ship date, Chris? So if you think of anything that you would like us to cover in a future Go for Lunch, you can call me or you can email me, and that information is coming up. And don't forget to email your favorite case and screen protector to that same email with the subject line at # or #favorite. So thank you for joining, and we will see you next Tuesday at high noon for another Go for Lunch. Take care.